Quazi here. This book was written over 2,000 years ago. In it are the first known accounts of how the human energy system, the chakra system, actually works. Now, this book is known as the Upanishads and was written between 800 and 500 BCE. It actually forms the foundation of modern yogic knowledge. What's curious, though, is that there is mention of the existence of 114 different chakras in the human system, out of which there are 7 foundational chakras. See, chakras are like the body's invisible power stations, spinning wheels of energy that bridge the physical and the spiritual worlds together. Think of them like Wi-Fi hotspots for your soul, transmitting life force, prana, throughout your subtle body and connecting you to the cosmos. Each chakra has its own frequency, own color, and its own vibe, influencing everything from your emotions to your intuition and your sense of purpose. 3 years ago, I had an encounter with unblocking one of my chakras that changed my life forever. See, I was very stuck with my life and business. My YouTube channel was stagnant, and it kind of felt like everything that I worked for was about to go down. Then one day, I came across this book called The Mind Control Method by Jose Silva, this one. And in it, he outlined a protocol that allowed me to lower my brainwave state to the alpha mode while still simultaneously focusing energy to my third eye, the Anya chakra. Within 3 days of performing this meditation, a miracle happened. See, at the time we were working with a YouTube agency, and the account manager who was responsible for my account, who I was working closely with for my YouTube channel, had all of a sudden quit. Now, this initially sent me in a state of panic because I thought not only is my channel stagnating, but now it's going to get worse. But I still tried to keep a positive attitude about it. However, the person who actually came in to replace him turned out to be an absolute genius. He came in with a complete plan for my channel, and we dove in to implement it immediately. Lo and behold, the very first video that we put out after working together went on to doing over 800,000 views. And we went from doing around 200,000 views a month on the whole channel to over 3 million views a month, and our revenue tripled. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exact protocol that I used for this miracle to happen in my life. And ever since then, countless others have used it as well to get life-changing results. I'm going to pull up some of the results here. Take a look at some of the people who've actually used this, what they've been able to achieve, and it happens in 3 days. This is likely going to be a very long video because it's very in-depth and it contains the exercise, the guided exercises that you need to do. So I want you to bookmark this and religiously do this exercise as instructed, because I can guarantee it's going to change your life only if you commit to it. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin speaking about the father of the yogic sciences. And this person's name was Patanjali. Now, Patanjali existed thousands of years before the arrival of Christ. An important thing about Patanjali to realize was this man or person was so powerful and so intellectually realized that people who look back into the past to analyze Patanjali's writings, they think that Patanjali was a collection of 7, 8, 9 different people. Okay, that's how powerful this one man was. And so when Patanjali wrote the Yoga Sutras, which is basically one of the first texts that brought together all of the yogic knowledge, because prior to that, people lived the yoga life, but no one could consciously explain why they did what they did. It's kind of like explaining walking to a more intellectual person. So Patanjali knew thousands of years ago that the Yoga Sutras would be prevalent even today, and it would be even more important today than it was hundreds or even thousands of years ago. So that's the genius of the Yoga Sutras. And in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali talks about the human machine, and it's like an instruction guide for how to use the human machine. So we've been endowed with this great, intelligent, powerful machine, but we don't even have an instruction guide on it. Do you realize how crazy this is? Like, we're born with this great, powerful machine, but we just don't know how to use it. We could use this to move mountains. Yet we use this to multiply our suffering every single day, right? So Patanjali meant for this to be a guide for human beings to use to ultimately reach their enlightenment. Okay, that was the goal with the Yoga Sutras. Now, in the Yoga Sutras, this is how the third eye comes in. There are 114 chakras, as Patanjali mentions. Out of these 114, there are 7 main ones, which is what we're going to discuss. Okay? These 7 chakras describe the ascendance of man from absolute base primal instincts of survival to ultimately enlightenment. And if you can move your energy from the different levels, the whole purpose of yogic practices is to move energy from the absolute base and core level to the absolute highest, to the level of experiential realization, or the 7th chakra. Okay, so let's talk about these 7 chakras and where this third eye actually comes in. This is going to be very important for you. The most core chakra is called the Muladhara chakra. This is the root chakra. If your energy is most concentrated at the root chakra, you're mainly concerned with sleep and eating. You just want to sleep and you want to eat. And there are a lot of people who are at this low base level of consciousness right now. They don't understand anything else. It's kind of like being an animal. Animals are at this level. They're only concerned with sleep and food. If you go a level above that, okay, going a level above the Muladhara chakra is the Svadhisthana chakra, which is the sacral or the spleen chakra. In this chakra, you're mainly concerned with the pleasures of life, sexual pleasures or any other kind of pleasure. So if your energy is concentrated here, pleasure is your main focus. A level above that is the Manipura chakra. If your energy is concentrated in the Manipura chakra, action becomes your main focus. You want to act. You're kind of like a bull. Okay, you don't think, you simply just do. Think of hunks and like bodyguards or bouncers or people who don't want to think, they just want to do, and they just want to go out there and act without thinking. A level above that, if your energy is concentrated in the heart chakra, the Anahata chakra, your main tendency is toward creativity, creating artistic pieces, admiring different creative pieces. Creativity is the main expression that your life energy finds. Another level above that, the throat chakra, the Vishuddhi, your main focus is gaining influence. Your voice becomes more powerful. You want to gain influence and you're good at gaining influence and expressing yourself. So if that's where your energy is concentrated, you might be a great politician, a great speaker, or anything related to the oratory. Now, here's where the third eye comes in. If your energy is concentrated in the Ajna chakra, the third eye, then you become intellectually realized. I want you to pause and reflect on this for a moment. This intellectual realization actually is the highest level your energy can move up to in the duality domain. Past this, if your energy moves up to the Sahasrara, your crown chakra, then you become experientially realized. This is non-dual. Then it is said that you become enlightened and you're in a constant ecstatic state. Okay? All you need to do is move your energy up to the level of intellectual realization. When you can do that, you can shift your perception at will. If you imagine we have sense organs that are sight, feeling, the 5 senses. Our sight is used to perceive the outer world. The Ajna chakra is used to perceive the inner world. When you can learn to use the Ajna chakra in your visualizations, not only do your visualizations become more vivid, they also become much easily materialized into physical reality. And I, for one, have first-hand noticed this. And many, many teachers talk about this. Many, many religions talk about this. Even the Buddhist tradition talks about the third eye. Even the Hermeticists talk about the third eye. Even the shamans talk about the third eye. Recently, I was reading a book by Jose Silva on mind control. Now, in mind control, Jose Silva actually talks about how you should when you visualize, you should get your eyes on a 20-degree plane, meaning you should look up in your eyelids. When you're doing that, you're actually tapping into your third eye. And as we do the third eye visualization exercise, you're going to see exactly why this is so powerful. Okay? So for now, I just wanted to give you a knowledge on the different chakras and how to, how this energy must move on up. And as it moves up, you gain access to more of your intellect, more of powers of perception to be able to shift your perception. Okay? So now let's talk about the keys that we want to accomplish with this if we want to become powerful creators of our reality. We want to move our energy up so we can unlock our inner vision. Most people are concerned with the outer world. Do you notice how you get so steeped in all your problems and what's going on outside of you that you can't turn within, you can't bring your focus within? It's because your third eye hasn't been unlocked. It's because your pineal gland is calcified. Okay? If you keep tapping into your third eye, you don't have to worry about decalcifying your pineal gland or doing anything with it. It is going to naturally get activated. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So the crucial point for us is to unlock this inner vision. Okay? Unlock inner vision. Now, when we unlock our inner vision, we gain the power to shift our perception in accordance with our will. If we choose to shift our perception, we have the choice to do so. Otherwise, we become rigidly attached to how we've been conditioned up until this point. And there's two perceptions that we possess: how we view the world around us, our worldview, and how we view ourselves in relationship to our worlds, our self-view, our identity. Most people become rigidly attached to how they view themselves, and they think that there is one true them and one not them, right? This is me, that's not me. This is me, that's not me. And their boundaries, the boundaries of their bodies, get constrained to the surfaces of their skins, okay? And I used to be this way. After rigorous years of practice, I've become very moldable, more flexible. When you become flexible, you become one with life, kind of like water, right? When a water enters a teapot, it becomes the teapot. When a water enters a kettle, it becomes a kettle. Enters the bottle, it becomes the bottle. That's how we want to be. Whatever life throws at us, we want to flow with it, not against it, not against the tide. And this is how you do it, by becoming more moldable, by gaining access to the ability to shift your perception in accordance with what life requires at different points in your life, okay? So the goal is to shift our perception at will. So now let's get right into the third eye visualization method. For this, I want you to take some time out, around 10 minutes, to sit somewhere quietly, have focus and not have any distractions. And let's get right to it. Okay, so now let's get to the third eye visualization technique. Now, this technique is actually using your third eye in conjunction with your subconscious mind. So there's a prerequisite to this. You want to make sure that when you do this exercise, you fall asleep. So doing this before bed is the ideal. But for now, it's totally okay that we're doing this as a practice run right now. Okay? So no problem, make sure you have somewhere to sit for 10 minutes with no distractions, right? And sit somewhere comfortable. What we want to do before we begin is, in our mind, have a problem that we're experiencing in our lives. So think about one big problem or something that you feel stuck with. It could be in your business, it could be in your personal life, your relationship, anything of your choosing that you've been stuck with for a while. And the key thing is you don't know how to get unstuck. You know, maybe you have an idea, but you're not sure and it hasn't quite happened yet. So think about the problem first and what the problem feels like, okay? So now let's get to this exercise. So I want you to take a deep breath with me. Sit quietly and take a deep breath. Now, in your mind, I want you to visualize the number 3 times. 3, 3, 3. Now visualize the number 2 3 times. 2, 2, 2. Feel yourself falling deeper and deeper into an alpha state of mind. And now I want you to visualize the number 1 3 times. And when you visualize the number 1 for the 3rd time, you're going to be in a very low frequency state of mind. Your brain waves are going to slow down to the alpha brainwave state. 1, 1, 1. You're now in the alpha brainwave state. Now I want you to begin putting your eyes and tilting them up towards the center of your forehead. As you do this, you'll feel a pressure in the middle of your forehead. Don't worry if you don't feel the pressure now. Just move your eyes upwards, just slightly. That pressure that you feel in the middle of your forehead is your 3rd eye. Again, don't worry if you don't feel it the first time. As you do this over time, you will gain a feeling of it. Keep your eyes there. Now, as you keep your eyes there, I want you to visualize the problem that you thought about. Create a vivid scene of the problem and make it rich and colorful, something that you've been stuck with. Now imagine what it feels like to be stuck in that problem. Imagine how much it sucks to stay stuck in that problem. How terrible it is to stay stuck in that problem. How stuck it feels. Make the scene as big and visual as you can. Now imagine there's a ball of energy in your heart that contains that problem scene that you've just visualized. And in 3 seconds, you're going to send that ball up to your higher self. Imagine just shooting it up, however way you can. Just shoot that ball up into space, just above you, and imagine it's received by a higher self. You're surrendering it to God. In 3 seconds, you're going to exhale and shoot the ball up into space. 3, 2, 1. The problem has now been sent to your higher self, and you have nothing to worry about. Now, as you keep your eyes on your 3rd eye and you feel the pressure, I want you to visualize what the solution to your problem could look like, what life looks like after the problem has been solved. Imagine rejoicing that your problem has been solved. Imagine celebrating that the problem has finally been solved, something you've been stuck with for a very long time. What does that feel like? Make the scene more and more colorful, more and more vivid. Touch different things in that scene and imagine you're feeling them. Imagine the sounds, imagine the smells, imagine the tastes. Immerse all your senses into it fully. See the color. Make the picture larger and larger. Feel the celebration and the rejoice in your heart. It's been solved. Everything that you've ever wanted has been achieved. In 3 seconds, I want you to send this ball of energy up to your higher self again, just like you did with the problem. Three, two, one. As you exhale, send that ball of light from your heart to your higher self. The problem has now been taken care of. I want you to slowly open your eyes. And now, ideally, when you're doing this exercise at night, right before bed, you would drift off to sleep. And what happens is within the next 3 days, you will notice different signs coming to your reality about how this problem gets solved. A precaution. I don't want you to keep doing this exercise. Only wait until 3 days. And if nothing shows up after 3 days, repeat this exercise with the same problem. I can't stress to you how powerful this method is, because as soon as I've started doing it, many crazy things have happened. So first of all, if you look back at my channel, a week ago, a couple of my videos just blew up. I was trying for a really long time to make better videos and get more views, but it hasn't worked, and I was stuck with that for a very long time. And the first thing I did when I learned this exercise was visualize being stuck with my channel and trying different things, and that didn't work out, and then visualize the solution, hundreds of thousands of views. And a few days ago, a video that I made maybe 8 or 2 weeks ago got like 100,000 views on it, right? And I was like, oh my God, this really works. So that's why I was so excited to share this with you guys. And this really is powerful, because as soon as I did this exercise, coincidences happened, and the team that I was working with had a changeover, and the other person that came in and staff, that person happened to have a lot more knowledge about what I needed to do, and they were able to relay that knowledge to me, and I was accepting of it. I noticed that that was the sign. So another key thing you have to do is look for little instances, because the sign will be very, very small. Take it and acknowledge it as confirmation. Even the tiniest thing that happens, you're looking for more money or more clients, and someone shows more interest in one of your products, that is the sign. That is going to happen. Anything that happens, be open to receiving it. So the key part of this process is throughout your daily living, as you do this exercise, be open to receiving signs in different ways, okay? This is very, very crucial. The conjunction of your third eye and your subconscious mind is very, very powerful in tapping into those different sectors of space where this answer lies, okay? But it's up to you to take it to heart and accept it. Another key thing that happened to me, I'm just giving you all of these examples so it's relatable to you, so you have more motivation to apply it, because this truly is extremely powerful. I was looking for client results, and we haven't had an explosive result from a client in a very long time. As soon as I started to do this, one of our clients, Evan, he posted how he went from barely making nothing in his business to, after working with us, now making 50K a month in his business. And I'll pull up the screenshot right here. So this truly does work, but you need to follow these steps precisely. So if you need to watch this video again, please do so. Perform this exercise, just save it somewhere and just do this again right before bed. Okay, I've spent a lot of time preparing this for you in a way that you can use it for yourself, and I want you to listen to it and fall right to sleep. So let's begin with the third eye and gaining a better understanding of it, why this becomes so crucial in using this visualization process. To begin with, if you look at many different cultures, especially it's most prevalent in ancient yogic cultures, the third eye is known as the Anya chakra. There are 7 different chakras, and the Anya chakra, the third eye chakra, is known as the highest domain in the duality realm. To go from the Anya to the highest, the crown chakra, or the Sahasrara, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, there's a sharp jump that needs to happen. So for human beings in daily life, if you can get your energy up from the root, the lowest chakra, which is only concerned with survival and sleep and just survival motives, if you can get it up to the intellectual center, this is known as the intellectual center, then you'll be able to tap into higher faculties to influence life and pretty much 80 to 90% of your life, your destiny, will be in your own hands. So this is known in ancient yogic culture as intellectual center, the third eye. Now, something interesting that happened was recently I was studying Jose Silva's mind control method, and upon going through it, I realized that Jose Silva talks about visualization too. And this is where my epiphany came in. Upon studying that work, he says when you visualize using these methods, first you have to center yourself and access this alpha state, which is where your brain waves slow down so you can become more calm and relaxed and project better. So you have to get to this state of nothingness to create something. You can't create something from another thing. You have to empty your glass to fill it up with what you want to fill it up with. But on top of that, he also talks about the importance of having your eyes turned upward. So as you close your eyes, you turn it upwards and then you visualize. This was quite curious to me because when you do this, upon doing many different yogic practices, I've realized that when you have your eyes turned upwards, immediately you feel a focus right here where your third eye will be located. So you can try this with me right now. Just close your eyes and just turn your eyes upward until you feel some pressure in the middle of your forehead. I can feel that right now. So this is what happens when we do that. But I didn't quite understand why Jose Silva would talk about this until I linked both this visualization method that I'm going to share with you throughout the end of this video and the power of the third eye. So this led me to understanding another concept that I learned a very long time ago. And this is in the perception of what's known as the all space, okay? If you read ancient Hermetic work, okay, ancient Hermeticism has been one of the first teachings by the masters, by this great being called Hermes Trismegistus. He was literally called the 3 times greatest because he had mastered the physical, mental, and spiritual planes of existence. Trismegistus means the thrice greatest, and that's why he's called that. Hermes talked about the all space, and in one of the principles in this ancient Hermetic book, he talks about how the all is all there is. There is nothing outside of the all. There's no need to worry because everything is within the all. What the third eye allows us to do is to perceive things that's outside of our physical senses. Okay, so our physical senses are the 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, feel, hear. Aside from that, what is this third eye meant to do? It's meant to perceive that which is beyond the senses. What is beyond the senses? There's all space. There's all space that contains every possible combination of realities that can be manifested. Quantum physics has started to talk about this a lot. They're talking about now how there's different parallel realities that we can experience. So let me ask you this. Why do you think you're experiencing this particular reality in which you are like this, your family's like this, all of the situations in your life, your environment is a particular way? It's because of some energy, right? Because of some energy that we're resonating and vibrating with. If we were vibrating with a different energy or a different frequency, we're attuned to a certain frequency, then we would be experiencing a different sector of this all space, right? So this all space literally contains every possible reality, every possible combination of a reality that can be manifested. A reality in which you're rich, a reality in which you're poor, a reality in which you're alive, a reality in which you're not even born. So what's the receiving center of this all space? What's determining what we're experiencing right now? This is what brings me to the brain. Okay, so I want you to think about the brain this way. If we took the brain apart, we wouldn't find all of these possible realities, would we? It's kind of like taking apart a TV. You wouldn't find all the channels inside of the TV. The TV is simply a receiver of all of the channels. The channels exist in the form of waves. So kind of like that, I believe the brain is a receiving center for all of these possible realities. So this is where visualization comes in, by the way. When we have our hearts and minds attuned, we are vibrating along a certain frequency. And that's when we tap into a certain sector of the alternative space and experience the current reality that we're experiencing. This took me a very, very long time to figure out. And this is exactly why I'm so excited to share with you this visualization technique, which is going to completely change your life. So this brings me to the next point, which is understanding the importance, the significance of visualization, of which there are 2 main types. The 2 main types are, first of all, there's goal visualization, in which you think and focus all your efforts The image that you create in your mind's eye is of the final goal. And there is process visualization, which is the focus on the movement towards the goal. So goal is focus on the final long-term goal. To give you an example of this, you look at something 10 years from now, something about which you have no idea how to get there. So maybe you want to quit your job and work in a business that you are passionate about and something that you enjoy. And as a result, you happen to make money from it. That's something you create a picture of in your mind's eye, but you don't quite know how to get out of this current situation that you're at right now. And that's completely fine. That's where we begin with goal visualization. Goal visualization is great because it focuses your subconscious mind on the final picture, which gives you insights into the intermediary steps or the process that will allow you to get there, which leads me to the next part, process visualization. Process visualization is a focus on movement towards the goal. You can visualize the goal all you want, but if there's no movement, there will be no bridging the gap between your current and your desired life lines. So in this alternative space, there's different pictures that we have, different desired realities that we have. You can pick a desired reality, but if it's too far out into the future and the energetic frequency that it vibrates at is too different from your current lifeline, there will need to be some sort of movement that bridges the gap between your current and your desired life. So to fully understand this, we have to look at the causal chain. Let's say A is your current, this is your current state. Let's say C is your desired state, which would be the goal. B would be the process that allows you to get there. Now, the key thing about the process is it's an intermediary step, okay? It's anything in between. That's the next immediate step after A. So, to give you a much better example, in my personal life, when I wanted to do exactly what I described to you, when I wanted to quit that soul-sucking engineering job that I was supposed to go into full-time, I quit that to start up my own business, which is making YouTube videos and becoming a coach. At that point, I had no idea how any of this would happen, right? So I visualized what my life looks like 5-10 years from now in the long term, which was my goal. My goal was to wake up next to the partner of my dreams, live in a mansion in LA or somewhere up in the hills, and also do something that I love to do, which is, I didn't know what that was actually. Frankly speaking, I had no clue what that was, but I just visualized that I'm doing something that fulfills me, excites me, and energizes me. And I visualized that for a very long time. That was the goal. As I visualized the goal and as I expanded my comfort zone, these two things need to happen. For you to get an insight into the process, you have to first visualize the goal that you want to manifest and also continually expand your comfort zone. This is where B comes in. B is a process of expanding your comfort zone. So when I visualized that goal, and every single day I did something that would get me out of my comfort zone, try something new, take a new path to work, invest in a mentorship or a program that I would never do, or learn a new skill, pick up a new hobby. I'm continually expanding my comfort zone every single day. What happened was I had the idea to start up a YouTube channel, but I didn't know then that was the process. But I visualized that process. I'm going to show you how to do that. I visualized that process, and what happened was that was starting to bridge the gap. By the way, making YouTube videos at the time for me was very, very uncomfortable, right? That was something completely foreign to me. It was completely new to me. I had no idea what people would think. I was making videos about stuff that people in my circle didn't talk about. Like when my friends were watching videos on me talking about spirituality and manifestation, they were like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this? Just get a job and make money, you know, because that's what people know. And I don't blame them. But I was just visualizing me being successful with it when I started off. And I had no clue how it would lead me there. But step by step, the process evolved as I kept visualizing the goal and as I kept being more and more uncomfortable and I kept moving towards what I thought would lead me there. That's exactly what happened. So for me, the current situation was me at my job. The desired goal was me gaining freedom from my job and having financial freedom. And the process was, at that time, make YouTube videos. And I visualized that until making YouTube videos led me to becoming financially free. So this turned into people reaching out to me for coaching, and then I visualized me being successful at coaching, and then I visualized me growing coaching. Do you see how this is evolving? It's just me being uncomfortable at every single stage in my life, focusing on a process that I think, this is key, that I thought would get me there. You already have an idea of what would bridge you from your current to your desired. It's not clear to you yet because your subconscious mind isn't fully focused on the goal, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. But for now, I want you to know this, that there is goal visualization and process visualization. You need both. Another example of this, one of our clients, Stefan, did this very recently. So Stefan was also in college at the time when he joined our program. And his goal was to gain financial freedom and do what he loved to do. But back then he didn't know what he wanted to do. It's quite similar to me. He just knew that what he didn't want to do, which is go into a job. So he joined the program, used the tools, gained clarity on that long-term vision. And all of a sudden he had an idea to start a biohacking business. Okay, so this is more like a performance coaching. Now he helps entrepreneurs and business owners get better performance so they can perform better in their business, optimize their health to the best of their ability so they can focus more. And so he had the idea to do that, and he used process visualization to become more and more uncomfortable every single day. What happened was within 2 years, he went from having no clue about what he wanted to do. He just posted in the group saying he made his first 50K month in this venture that he's been in for the past year. And that's quite amazing to see, right? Like how that evolved from having no clue about what he wanted to do, to gaining clarity, to working step by step, day by day, becoming the version he needed to be. And now, voila, an overnight success after 2-3 years. So that's what happens when you have the right systems and right tools to use for your development, to actually create your destiny. So I'm super excited to share this with you. But the last thing you have to understand is the congruence, achieving congruence between our conscious and subconscious minds. So let's get right into that. Okay, so now let's talk about one of the most crucial aspects to reality creation, to using this, which is understanding how to align your conscious and your subconscious. Most of the time, as we're going through life, when we have goals, the reason we can't achieve them is because there's an incongruence between what we consciously want and what we subconsciously think and feel about it. Okay? So there are things within our subconscious that we're holding onto that aren't quite serving us. We've picked up this conditioning from our past, from experiences that we've had and how we've processed these experiences. So as human beings grow and develop and move on through life, what you'll notice is a lot of people, as they get older, they lose their childlike sense of joy. Okay, when you were 14 years old, you were 6 years old, 7 years old, you were just a kid, playing. You felt like a kid. You felt empty, right? But then as you get older and older, you'll see people, their faces will hang lower, they'll feel heavier, they'll just look like they're drained of life. And it's because of all of these experiences that we collect. Unfortunately, we become a walking bundle of traumas, okay? And this is because people don't really know how to properly process all of these feelings and all of these experiences that have happened. And we just stuff them in, and we suppress them, and eventually they become repressed and start to act out in different ways in our lives. And then we just can't explain why these things are happening. We can't explain why we set about on a goal to start up a business, but then we just can't do it. And then we keep hopping from one business opportunity to the next, and we keep starting and we keep trying shiny objects. We keep procrastinating. Why do these things keep happening? Because subconsciously there's something that's holding you back. So the job is to get ourselves congruent, consciously and subconsciously. So this brings me to understanding a very crucial concept that every single culture, every single ancient civilization, everything that I've studied, they always talk about this. The importance of creating a heart and mind coherence. What does that mean? If you look at the mind, how the mind works is it's the collector of experiences. The heart simply listens to what the mind says. So in a sense, the mind is a gatekeeper. When the mind gives permission, the heart is allowed to feel it or go along that particular line. So for example, when you think about a goal, you really want it, right? Emotionally, you really want it. But intellectually, what happens is the mind comes in and says, this is not possible because X, Y, and Z happened in the past. That person went through that. The mind just interrupts and does not give permission for the heart to feel the way that it wants to feel. Okay, the heart's like a kid. The heart is like the kid, that 14-year-old, that 7-year-old kid that's empty, that doesn't have a well-developed intellectual mind to come in and interrupt and just, hinder the process. So that's the biggest problem we all face. Our minds have become a little too overdeveloped. So to give you an example of this, think about any goal that you have. If you've been trying to grow past a certain point in your career or grow past a certain point in your business, there are some parts of your business and your career that you don't like. We tell ourselves, oh, I don't like this. I don't feel passionate about this. I feel burnt out. But you've got to do certain things to move forward, but you just can't get yourself to do it. This is the disharmony, the disparity that we have between the conscious and the unconscious, or the heart and mind. On the other hand, think about the simple act of raising your arm. Do you have any doubts about raising your arm? You just simply do it, right? So in this action, there is a clear intention. There is a clarity of intention. I'm exercising clarity of intention. There is no thinkingness involved. On the other hand, if you just think about raising your arm for like a minute before you raise it, you'll have a lot more hesitation and doubt. So the challenge becomes we just don't know how to deal with this heavy mind that keeps interrupting, that keeps overthinking, judging, criticizing, and just ruminating. So this creates more hesitation, which creates more doubt, which prevents people from moving forward in their lives. One way is to just overwhelm the thinking mind, but that's easier said than done. So I'm going to share with you a way in which you can overcome this thinking mind, overcome all of the conditioning, so that you can achieve a clarity in the heart and the mind, okay? So this brings me to understanding clarity of intention. So understand how we've been conditioned in this physical world. In this physical world, we're physical beings and we believe in taking physical action. That's why so many people are so hell-bent on taking massive action to try and accomplish something. No one really understands the power of what's beyond action. Who am I being in every single moment? Because the being determines the doing, which ultimately determines what you have. Now, going along that line, if we talk about doing, if we truly believe that doing something would get us somewhere, we must work with the current confines of our conditioning. You cannot try to change who you are. You have to work with what you've got. It's futile to try and change something about you, because you'll immediately be met with resistance and it'll immediately create an internal conflict, a fight between the two selves. The key here is anytime we want to bridge the gap between our intellectual and our emotional thoughts and feelings, or our conscious and our subconscious, we need what's called an action condition. So bear with me for a second here while I explain this. So what is an action condition? An action condition helps us bridge the gap between A and C. Remember when we talked about process visualization? That's where action condition comes in. It allows us to create this bridge between our current situation and our desired situation. So if you were in the situation where I was at, or where Stefan was at, in a place that's drastically different from where you want to be, and you can't possibly see yourself getting there, right? You can't see how you would go from here to that ideal situation. What do? This is where action condition comes in, because our minds have been very, very conditioned to accept readily that, hey, if I do this, I can get there. So let's define the parameters here. So let's say A is your current situation, and B would be the action condition, the bridge, if you will, and C would be the desired situation or solution. Let's define a situation for yourself. So what I want you to do right now is just pause this video and define these parameters for yourself. Define your current situation, something that you hate, something that you're opposed to. I want you to feel all the negative emotions associated with it. This is very, very crucial for the next part of the exercise that we're going to do, the visualization technique. Okay? So define the problem and make sure you have all of the terrible feelings, the thoughts or whatever associated with it as strong as you can make them. And then I want you to define the solution, what the solution could look like. Once this problem is solved, what it could look like. So to give you an example, I was speaking to one of our clients and he said he was in a lot of debt. Okay, so solution A for him would be debt. him just, paying interest through the roof every single month and just not having enough money left over. That's painful for him. He's focusing in on that pain. C, the desired solution would be debt-free, earning surplus of income, having an abundance, doing what he wants to do, traveling, all of the things that he wanted to do once he's debt-free. Now B, this is where it's crucial. Understanding an action condition. What could he potentially do that would get him there? So what's the first step you could take? What's one step you could take to get you from your current situation A, one step closer to your desired situation C, okay? So in the instance of this particular client, he could put down study real estate, get into real estate investing, or get into credit repair, look at different credit repair services. So anything simple. And jot that down. So I want you to pause this video right now and just jot down these 3 things. And now we're going to move to the next part of the video where you're going to need to use this, the visualization technique. So let's jump right into that. Okay, so the meditation process, the visualization technique that I'm about to share with you right now, it's something that I learned from Jose Silva's Mind Control course. Now, there's a couple of steps before we do this. So I want you to go and sit somewhere and be relaxed, comfortable with no distractions, okay? This is very, very important. Now, something I want to say before we get started with the meditation is this is something I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, and I've already seen miraculous changes happen in my reality. So a couple little things is, fixing certain business problems that we've been going through. Just some challenges, nothing really major, but it's surprising to see how easily and quickly it fixes itself and you get aligned to it. The next thing is in my golf game, I've seen myself improve literally by using this process visualization. So the basis of this visualization method is its process visualization. It's when you know, and you kind of know what the step is for you to get to that next level. Okay? If you don't know what the next step is, you need to work with goal visualization and expanding your comfort zone. Remember those 2 keys. Visualizing the final ultimate goal and just continually expanding your comfort zone every single day. Okay? So this technique is called the 3 scenes visualization. Okay? What I want you to do before we get started is there are basically 5 steps to this. And I'm going to read out the 5 steps to you before we get started, so you're basically prepped. Step number 1, have your ABCs ready. We literally just did that right now. If you haven't done it, go do it right now. Define A, what A would look like, your current situation, a problem that you would like to solve. Define B, what would an action condition look like that would get you to that next step. And what would C look like, the desired situation when the problem is solved and life is hunky-dory, okay? And C doesn't have to be that final destination. It could be just that next step. It could be just an immediate problem that you're facing. So to give you that example of being debt-free, you could use something similar to that, or you could do something similar to you improving a certain aspect of your golf game like I did, or a certain aspect of your business. Maybe you're struggling with sales. Maybe you see that currently you're struggling a lot with closing deals. B would be, you studying something with sales, doing something in action condition. It's like, if I do this, then I will improve. This, again, gets you aligned both intellectually and emotionally, right? We're creating that congruence because the mind really needs something to open itself up, to open up the gates to the heart. So number 1, have your ABCs ready. Number 2, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a method to achieve the alpha state of mind. We have different brainwave states. The alpha state is when we get the emptiest. It's one of the most ideal states to begin creation. If we go below alpha to theta, people can get a bit sleepy. Okay, so that's not the most ideal. Jose Silva says we got to get to the alpha brainwave state at the very least. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to ask you to count to 3 times and visualize the number 3 times. Visualize the number 2 3 times, and visualize the number 1 3 times as you exhale, okay? Don't worry, I'm gonna guide you. It's completely fine. And then when I snap, you will feel as though you're in the alpha state of mind. Number 3, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll your eyes upwards and feel a pressure on the 3rd eye, or this point right here, okay? And then we're gonna begin visualizing. Now this can get a little bit tricky because we're going to have 3 different scenes. Now, the first scene scene number A, the problem scene, will be right at the center. Scene number B, the process scene, will be one step to the left. And scene number 3 will be another step to the left. The reason why we do this is because Jose Silva thought that time, how we perceive time, is kind of from the right to left. Right is the present or past, and left is the future. I don't know why this works. I've just tried to do it and it worked for me, so I'm sharing it with you, okay? And I hope you try it out and I hope it works for you too. So we'll do that, and then at the end, this is the part that I feel is the most powerful. We're going to imagine everything that we've done right now. We're going to collect into one ball of energy and send it up. It's almost as though we're sending it up to God, the universe, a higher power, okay? So let's jump right in with the meditation. So as you have your ABCs ready, I want you to relax and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale and relax. One more deep breath. Exhale and relax. Now inhale, and as you exhale, I want you to visualize the number 3 times. 3, 3, 3. Inhale, and as you exhale, I want you to visualize the number 2 3 times. 2, 2, 2. Now I want you to visualize the number 1 3 times. 1, 1, 1. You are now in the alpha state of mind. Feel the presence of your third eye as you turn your eye upwards. And now, craft a scene of the problem. Feel the feelings associated with being stuck, with failing, all the negative feelings associated with it. Feel the pain, feel the suffering. Feel it in every single bone in your body, and see the picture. Be one step to the left. See yourself doing something. See yourself going on this journey of improvement, taking some action. Act, act, and more action. See things improving. And finally, one last step to the left. Scene number C. All your problems have been solved. You're living your best life. Feel the feelings associated. What it feels like to solve the problem. What it feels like to be victorious. What it feels like to be powerful. It's all yours. On the count of 3, we're going to collect everything into one ball of energy and send it up with a sharp exhale. 1, 2, 3. Everything's now been taken care of. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, the key with this is, I want you to do this once every day with a new problem and wait for 3 days to see if you've had any sort of solution to this problem or if you've seen an improvement. The reason why we don't want to keep interrupting again and again is because it's kind of like placing an order to the universe, or like placing an order at a restaurant, but you keep updating the order again and again. Don't mess with it. Just stay with it, see if you receive any sort of feedback from your universe, and see what happens. And then after 3 days, you can return back to it. But it's good to do it on new problems every single day, because then you can initiate new solutions, okay? But ideally, I would say don't do it for more than 3 to 4 different problems, or 3 to 4 areas of your life. I like to do it with health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality.